I don't own a LPVO. I still don't. I'm going to very soon here after I kind of left class. Left the course, I went back and like, okay, how am I going to do this build? Like, how am I going to put together my things? So we're talking about builds. Like, what am I building here? Is this an SPR? Is this a DMR? Is this what barrel length should I go to and all that stuff? So I want to jump right in kind of with some of that, but specific with regard to all the talk around the LPVOs, with one of the recent school shootings that everybody's probably very familiar with out, and I believe it was Tennessee. And there was an officer, and there's body cam footage using an LPVO. And what are the questions that you're getting about those right now as a guy who answers technical questions about all things firearms?
So LPVOs aren't a new thing. They just, everything, trends are very cyclical, and we come back to things. And, we get bored with one thing because everybody on Instagram's done it for the last, 6 months. So now the next thing is just, one event away, whether that is somebody making a YouTube video, an event happening that drives, something like that, which is a tactical requirement, whatever. That event happened, and there's a line in the video where they say basically push the LPVO, and then everybody who's been looking to justify why they need to run one then goes, look,
their justification.
Now but the thing is, for those who actually watch the video and understand what the hell they're watching, the shot's actually taken with the offset acro,
yep.
which is what's funny.
Yeah, so that was funny, and I didn't pick that up until a couple times in.
And so because they say it, and then there's a lot of people who are like trying to justify a purchase, or especially within different departments, it's a justification piece, right? Like, well, now we have this event that then gives me the grounds to then justify, because law enforcement departments, all these things end up being really slow to change what their written doctrine
policy
to run,
training,
whatever.
all of this stuff.
And so I'm actually all for people using that event to do whatever, but it's understanding your requirements that then drive it. And I had this long conversation with my buddy Chris Palmer, who's out of Arizona. He's a big instructor and law enforcement officer down there. And yesterday, actually, driving back, I've been asked to develop these LPVO instructor courses for law enforcement. And the way I view scoped carbine courses and that application, I think, is very different than what a lot of law enforcement, at least in the conversations that I've had, are looking to get out of it. And so they go, well, hey, we won't take a shot farther than 200 yards. But we want to use an LPVO. So the conversation then becomes, well, then what are you putting an LPVO on? Well, it's for identification. It's for looking inside of a building. If you are staged outside of in the light and the house is really dark with a red dot, like the open door might look completely dark. But if you throw some magnification on it, now you can see everything inside the room. And so there's use there for the magnification. Mm-hmm. But you're not utilizing is the reticle, and you're not utilizing the other things that those types of optics and things give you, like we did in Reno. And so then I go, well, then why aren't you using a magnifier? And LPVOs bring all kinds of other setup requirements, being able to understand how you level a reticle, how you mount and torque, watch your torque specs, are you going to run a backup dot or not? Like setting up your ocular focus and, adjusting that for each shooter. Like there's a lot more involved with LPVO and getting into scoped rifles than there is with necessarily a red dot and a magnifier, which also has its own set of requirements. It still has an ocular focus. It still has to be collimated with the red dot. But if you're just looking for magnification and the ability to scale up and down magnification, the simplicity is greatly higher, or much higher, with a magnifier setup than with an LPVO. But again, we find this thing where guys are looking for the question to ask to get the answer they want. Mm. They're not looking at what question they're actually asking. And so LPVOs are one of those things. And then now it comes into like, now they're making a 2-10. Now, should I run an LPVO like a 1-8 or a 1-10 versus a 4-16, a 3-18, or whatever? I mean, it's the never ending debate on the Q&As I get over the application, because everybody's going to be slightly different. And we've gone down that, you and I in other conversations as well.
Yeah, it's, I find it, obviously, for somebody like me that's sort of new to it, and I think a lot of people that listen to the show are kind of on the fringes. I mean, there's all different, the people that I talk to that give me feedback, they're at any level, you know, and there's factions within each level of, you know, where people side or where they don't side on certain things. But it can get super overwhelming, and it just like I don't understand, like, why would this be better versus not? But they see these trends happening, and you're going to see a lot of LPVOs sold because of this. That's frustrating for me because from the get-go I've been like, I want to make sure that I don't need all the things. If I had to have a couple of things, what would I need and why would I want them? Where do I go to get this information? And that's where things get the waters get really muddy.